Hello, welcome to BBC News with me, Grass Monster M. The top stories today. FA to investigate sex abuse allegations. And Syria for Forei's retake and UK International Airport will be demolished. Severe weather coming around in Scotland areas and Birmingham. As a helicopter has crashed over in the area of UK International Airport a couple of months ago, it will not be revived. That's why it's closed. And in sports today, England saves all the cricket stuff. Hello, welcome to BBC News. Let's get straight into our top stories today. In sports, Rosberg is F1. Sorry, wrong one. Syria forces retake second Aleppo area. Syrian government forces have retaken a second rebel-held district into eastern Aleppo. Military sources say the army and its allies had fully recaptured Jabal Badro. Hours earlier, rebel sources confirmed that neighbouring Hano district had fallen and was now under government control. Hundreds of civilians have been fleeing into the government-controlled areas of Aleppo as troops make advances into the east of the city. And in other top stories today, FIFA should see sense over poppy ban. Culture secretary. A cabinet minister has urged FIFA to see sense and drop disciplinary action against England and Scotland for wearing poppies on armbands during a match on Armistice Day. The FAs of both countries were charged by World Football governing body after their teams wore the armbands for a World Cup qualifier at Wembley. FIFA said teams were not allowed to wear political symbols when playing, but Culture Secretary Karen Bartley said the action should be withdrawn. FIFA made its position clear in the build-up to the game on 11th of November, saying it was applying the rule 4.4 concerning political, religious or commercial messages. England and Scotland choose to defy the sport's governing body, wearing black armbands with poppies on for the game, which England won 3-0. And in other top stories, Queen's cousin, Margaret Rhodes, dies. The Queen's first cousin and one of her most trusted confidants, Margaret Rhodes, has died at age 91. Mrs. Rhodes, whose aunt was the Queen's mother, died on Friday after a short illness, according to reports. A spokesman for Buckingham Palace said it was not issuing a statement as it was a private matter for the Queen. Mrs. Rhodes, who was less than a year older than the Queen, spent her summer holidays at Balmoral with the Princess Elizabeth and Margaret. The Queen's mother eventually called her third daughter. McDonnie Brasco speaking.
She has made it perfectly plain that through age there is no possible danger of her abdicating in favour of her eldest son. But she feels that I think she feels that the vows she made on her coronation were ones that she wants to fulfil to the nth degree. And I think during those things she vowed to act as Queen for as long as she lived.
But it must just be practically harder to be a queen and perform that role.
I think it is. I mean, I think obviously should something like Alzheimer's or a stroke or something intervene, which God forbid, that would obviously open up a wholly different lot of circumstances, perhaps making Prince Charles regent or something.
Sorry for that technical difficulty there. We'll just be back on that story later. In other news, Swiss vote against strict timetables for nuclear power phase out. People in Switzerland voting in a referendum has rejected a proposal to introduce a strict timetable for phasing out nuclear power. A project for SRF public television showed the initiative failing by 55% to 45%. A major of cantons, Swiss states, voted against the initiative. The plan, backed by the Green Party, would have meant closing 3 of Switzerland's 5 nuclear power plants next year, with the last shutting in 2029. The 5 power plants currently generate almost 40% of Switzerland's electricity. After Fukushima disaster in Japan, the Swiss government said it would gradually move country towards renewable energy by 2050. It said nuclear power plants should continue to operate as long as they are deemed safe, but did not set a precise timetable. Environmentalists have said no nuclear reactors should be allowed to operate for longer than 45 years, meaning that at least 2 would have had to close almost immediately. But business leaders and the government quickly said shutting them down too quickly could lead to power shortages and raise reliance on fossil fuels. That is it from this BBC News. Over to your local BBC News, where you are. Hello, welcome to BBC Birmingham. The top stories today. As UK International Airport will be demolished. Terminal 1 will be demolished. They say that the Terminal 1 will be demolished just due to it closing. Due to it being ugly, kind of ugly. But as a helicopter crash, what happened in UK International Airport, what crashed and killed over 10 people, they say that they're closing it just due to safety reasons, plus the burning of the wood. And in other news today, other news, tributes to strangled caring nurse, killed cyclist lost son in bike accident, sinkhole trapped coach carrying tourist. RNLI, 2 million lifeboat arrive. £2 million lifeboat arrives at new home. And when the Smiler crash happened over about 1 year ago, we have got an interview with one of the guests. Okay, yep, is that okay? Yep. Okay, sorry about that, people. We have got technical issues here today at the studio, but we'll be back with more news. Thank you.